Yes, I did see that.
Are you ready?
He's really,
I see a sign. I usually yell. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for April the 4th, 5th, April 5th. Thank you. We want to welcome all our friends and neighbors, guests who are here for this public meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, April the 27th, 2022, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you should also have received a notice for the City Council meeting. Subdivision plats are approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission solely unless there is a request for waiver of escrow fees or construction. Only the City Council makes financial decisions. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for and against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. Every month, in addition to this meeting, we have a planning workshop to discuss next month's business, and that meeting, like this one, is open to the public, and it will be held this one will be held on April the 15th at 1:30, and it's open to the public, and it'll be at the Tyler Development Center across the street at 423 West Ferguson in the large conference room. At this time, Sheila, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Nichols.
Present.
Commissioner Landis.
Here.
Commissioner Swain.
Here.
Commissioner Whitney. Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Phoenix. Present. And Chairman Hudson.
Present. The first item on our agenda is consideration of the minutes from the March 1st meeting. Have commissioners had an opportunity to review those? And is there a motion to approve them or any corrections or changes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of March 1st, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve these minutes. Any commissioner seek recognition? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Last month, we had an item that was tabled, and procedurally, we'll have to remove that item from the table. Z22-006, Reed Development Company, LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself, from Z22-006.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. We'll wait till Mr. Reed's stepped out of the room. All right, is there a motion to remove this item from the table?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we remove Z22-006 from the table.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So the item is available for us to discuss. Thorani, are you going to talk about this? Good.
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and good afternoon to everyone present here. This is a zone change request from R1A to R1B. Both are single-family residential districts. R1A is slightly larger than R1B. R1B allows for a smaller lot size and also comparative to R1A, smaller setbacks. This application was tabled, as the Commissioner had mentioned. It was tabled for 30 days since last meeting for the applicant to meet with the neighbors so that they can address their concerns. Just to rewind back, the opposition were concerned about traffic and smaller lot sizes and decrease in the property values and traffic, and also expressed the desire for gated subdivision at some point. So the applicant since then have amended their request to leave the property, the lots along the Crooked Trail, the one that you see in the rectangular box, to leave as R1A, and also the southeast portion that are closer to the adjacent already existing homes on Crooked Trail, to leave them as R1A as well. So the amended subject property is the one that you see right now, leaving the portion that the applicant has amended. That's what the proposal looks like, even though it's not a site plan, it's not a planned development, it's not set in stone, but this is what the applicant has proposed. Also with the MSP, the master street plan recommends a north-south collector running through this property, and applicant shows that as well. They have also amended the number of homes from 103, which is 103 last time, to 98 single-family homes. Also, they'll have a mixture of sizes from 6,000 square feet to 9,000 square feet homes. Mark is here, and he could probably talk about Mark is here. He can probably give more information on the neighborhood meetings that they had and the changes that's proposed. They also proposed a tree buffer on the southeast side, and that would be an agreement between the applicant and the homeowners. And that's the future land use guide. It would be consistent because nothing is changing. It would be single family, medium, low density. Out of the 32 notices that was sent, 1 was received in favor, that's with the Geneco, and 6 was received in opposition to the request with 9.94%. Also, we received some of the letters outside the notification area. They also expressed same concerns as the property owners.
Volume and speed is an issue for us, sir. We don't want to interrupt the meeting, but we can't hear, and the pace is a little swift.
Either speak louder or move the microphone closer, or
And slower.
and slower, please.
Okay. Can you hear now? Okay. Like I was saying, out of the 32 notices that was sent, 1 was received in favor, that's the Geneco, and 6 of them was received in opposition to the request, and that's 9.94%. Also, we received some opposition letters from the outside the notification area, and they also expressed the same concerns as other neighbors in the area. And staff has reviewed this request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from R1A to R1B.
All right, Thorani, thank you. Any questions for Thorani?
Yeah, Thorani, was this a redistribution of notices, or is this the same from last time?
We did not resend the notices, but the notification area has actually reduced. So everybody who actually resides in this area should have had the same notification.
And we're at 9.94%?
Yes. Last time it was around 8 point, and we received more opposition letters in the meeting as well, so we recalculated that to match with the different subject property now, and that's the 9.94%.
9.94.
Yes.
All right, any other questions for city staff? All right, I have quite a few cards on this item, and we're welcome everybody to come who has an interest in this. The first card I have is from Mr. Priestner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Priestner, 3815 Old Wood Road. Not the lab. As Tarani said, after the meeting last time, we made some changes to the plan. Is this, there we go. Most significantly, what we did is we pulled back, we've kept this, so all the property that is adjacent to the existing Crooked Trail, we kept as R1A, including these lots fronting Crooked Trail and those that back up to the properties in the Crooked Trail subdivision. In addition, what we did on these is these lots are 203 feet, that's 187, and we've built in a buffer in there that we're gonna put an easement on to have an undisturbed buffer. It'll be 60 feet on the north side of it, and it tapers to about 30 on the south, mainly because the property line comes at an angle from the properties. We're also keeping the deed restrictions in place, as Mr. Khalifa talked about last time, on all of those lots that are facing on Crooked Trail. So we'll keep the larger house size on those, and those lots were platted. They're actually exceeding what is there right now, and that had to do with just really the dimensions of that lot and the number of lots in there. But in doing this, we really, look back, listen to what the neighbors said. They're still not in favor of the development, obviously, but we did meet with them again. Two of the things that came out of the meeting with them is that we're going to start construction on this side, as we talked about last time. So no construction will happen out here until the connection to Lakeview is made. I'm sorry. There we go. So no construction will start until Lakeview is connected through here, and then construction will start in that southwest corner. Another thing that we had talked with the neighbors about is once this connection is made, we would support the neighbors in going to the city and looking at closing off Crooked Trail from Cumberland Road. The city held a master street plan meeting with the MPO, talking about this new alignment. One of the things that's changed on this site plan from what you saw last time is this is that collector that the city's proposing through there that comes down to Cumberland Road. One of the things that the MPO talked about in that public meeting was coming back and closing off Crooked Trail from Cumberland Road, doing some sort of hammerhead or a cul-de-sac similar to what happened on Grande when Old Grande became New Grande. We are fully in support of that, and we'll do whatever we can to help support that and get that done. That can't happen until this connection is made. So once that connection is made, then we can go through the process of trying to go through that with the neighbors. But ultimately, that's a city decision. It's a public street, and it'll be a council decision to close that street. But overall, we think that this meets everything that we talked about last time. It's still a great subdivision. Still keep in mind, this is all R1D back this way. So we're going from R1A to R1B to R1D as we go across. And so it serves as a buffer between the R1A and R1B. And then keeping those R1A lots up adjacent to those properties keeps those same setbacks, adds a buffer in there, and keeps those larger lot sizes. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm sure there will be more when we get to the end of it, but we'll be happy to answer the questions.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mr. Priest?
I know last time we talked about possibly having a gate somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still in the plan, or
That, again, that becomes a city decision. So Crooked Trail is a public street. In order to gate that would have to become a private street. One of the things that the city is trying to encourage is not having as many private streets. So that's where the discussion in that MPO meeting came up about possibly cul-de-sacing it on the Cumberland Road side, which would prevent through traffic, and then keeping it public so that they're not having to maintain the street. However it comes out, we would support anything that they want to do. But that's an off-site project, and it's on city property, so it'll have to go through the process of changing the road from a public street to a private street in order to get it.
And where would the cul-de-sac be?
It would be, we have an aerial showing down. Okay, right here, let's see. Okay, right here, you would come in and basically cul-de-sac this, so the access would be coming from this collector, coming back this way, and there would be a cul-de-sac right here.
I don't see.
Can't see that? How do I, oh, there we go, sorry. The cul-de-sac would end up being right here, it'd be a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac, so it doesn't, we still need access to all the lots in there. But the access would come, so this connection would be made. Ultimately, this is a collector coming all the way through here, so access would come into Crooked Trail from this direction and cul-de-sac there.
Gotcha.
That would be From talk with Cameron, it sounds like the city would be supportive of that, but again, keep in mind that it has to go through that process.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Any other questions for Mr. Priestner? Stick around. I have a card from Trey Brewer. Mr. Brewer. State your name and address for the record.
Trey Brewer, 1350 Dominion Plaza. I just wanted to say we're the property owner on the west side of the road, or west side of the property, and our property zone R1D, and it's a good transition from our perspective from R1A to R1B to R1D. What we're planning there is probably smaller than what SIDAR is planning to do there, and we know the product that SIDAR does, and it's a good product. It'd be a good transition to what we're planning there in the future. So just wanted to let you guys know we're in support of this project.
Mr. Brewer, show me what property is yours. There's a big orange section there. How much of that is?
It's about 80 acres maybe.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any questions from Mr. Brewer?
Can I ask Kyle a question? What are the R1D
D.
components? R1D?
D.
Yeah, D as in dog, the 80 acres.
So if you can go back to R1D. So R1D is our the smallest single-family district. It is it will allow for townhomes or detached homes, and so it's a higher density single family district.
Okay.
And that's further to the west, as you see there. It would this property in question would be, as Mark mentioned, buffering that higher density single family and the lower density.
Gotcha. So it like transitions.
That's right.
Gotcha. All righty. Thanks so much.
All right. I have a card from Larry Vinson. Mr. Vinson. Larry Vinson.
I don't believe I have anything to say.
All right, let the record show that Larry Vinson, 309 West Cumberland Road, was in attendance. I have a card from Tammy White. Ms. White? Just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Tammy White. I live at 8403 Crooked Trail. Thank you for the opportunity to voice our opinion on the proposed zoning change on Crooked Trail, which is located in a beautiful South Tyler neighborhood. We, my husband and I, are lifelong residents of Tyler and have lived on Crooked Trail since 2001. We are opposed to the zoning request change from R1A to R1B. We are asking you to protect our existing neighborhood with our current rising home values and security that might provide financially. We are concerned about increased traffic flow as our neighborhood does not have sidewalks. The traffic in the front of our home will increase greatly. Also, there is no continuity between the existing neighborhood and the new proposed neighborhood. The proposed R1B allows for much smaller lots than the existing lots on Crooked Trail. The homes proposed on these small lots are architecturally much different. The homes on Crooked Trail are custom-built brick homes. Several were former showcase homes in the Tyler Parade of Homes. There has never been a rental home on Crooked Trail to my knowledge, and I have lived there over 20 years. SIDAR Development is proud to announce they have pre-sold all their small homes. Is this to an out-of-state investor? Will they surely turn them into rentals? New and different people continually moving on the street, and rental neighborhoods are known for increased crime. Finally, their new zoning status will require them to clear-cut the lots so there is room for a house. These lots on the Crooked Trail extension are really beautiful tree-shaded lots. The current Crooked Trail neighborhood has beautiful, mature trees throughout. A clear-cut neighborhood shows no continuity of development. Please vote for no for the proposed zoning change. Hopefully and prayerfully, Sadara Construction will choose to build homes that match the existing neighborhood. Keep Tyler beautiful, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Ms. White? If not, I have a card from Ronnie Lawler. Mr. Lawler.
Ronnie Lawler, 8315 Crooked Trail. I'm also in opposition. I live right next to Miss White. My house, as I mentioned the last time, is 5,000 square feet. My lot's over 3/4 an acre, almost an acre. It's a beautiful brick home. The continuity of the houses with which side are is presenting to build on these 6,000 square foot lots are not similar. It doesn't look the same. We're literally talking about on the exact same street that connects to ours that these types of homes are going to be built. These are not, another subdivision completely away. This is the same access road, whether Lakeway comes through or not. It'll be the same access road for those homes that are not brick, not stone, not any kind of that type of construction. Front-facing garages, which none of our homes have front-facing garages. So just completely different type of aesthetic. And then once again, the safety function of the difference of adding another 12 homes is probably a minimum of 24 additional cars they're going to be driving. And we don't have sidewalks. I have 3 little boys. We've got 2 dogs, and we walk that street every single day. My kids play out there. So even an additional 12 homes to be rezoned for that difference is a substantial safety concern, and our property values, especially with how crazy property values are right now, it's going to decrease the value of the homes with the 27 existing homes. And once we add, if they wanted to have those additional 98 homes, so I'm definitely in opposition of the request. We had also heard that there was an option for an emergency gate option that wouldn't make us an actual private street. I'm not sure if that's something that is for here or for city council, but I'm open to any questions about any of my statement.
All right, Mr. Lawler. Any questions from Mr. Lawler? Again, thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from Ryan Tutt. Mr. Tutt.
My name is Ryan Tutt at 8501 Crooked Trail. I've lived there for 6 years with my wife Kim, and I'm from Tyler, lived in Tyler my whole life, actually on Cumberland. My parents live in Cumberland Estates just across Broadway, been there since the 80s. And I'm here to voice my opposition to the rezoning. It will reduce the value of our houses, the safety, the traffic coming in. And if we don't, in Cumberland, or in Crooked Trail at Cumberland, everybody coming west on Cumberland will come down Crooked Trail. It's going to be 100 to 200 extra cars coming down every day. It's like, we have families. We walk our dog every night. It's not good. The character of the neighborhood just won't match. We have very custom houses. My house has ICF walls. It's concrete built walls, and that's something you won't find in any of those houses for sure. We just want to make sure that it kind of matches the style, and we want to keep our neighborhood safe and friendly for our families.
All right, any questions for Mr. Tutt? Thank you for your time and presence here today. I have a card from Kim Tutt.
I'm Kim Tutt. I live at 8501 Crooked Trail, and I am in opposition to the rezoning because it'll completely change the character of our neighborhood.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Ms. Tutt? I have a card from Bruce Cannon. Mr. Cannon, just state your name and address for the record.
Oh, yes. Bruce Cannon. I live at 8208 Crooked Trail, and I believe I've provided each commissioner with a little presentation. I know you may not have gotten many letters in the mail, but I went door to door to every home on Crooked Trail. The new Cumberland Place West and Cumberland Place. So Cumberland Place has 27 homes. I received 24 signatures in opposition. 2 homes I did not get an answer. 1 home said he didn't care about anything going on on our street. So I kind of discount that. So I'm going to say I got 24 of 26 homeowners that oppose the change in lot size. We understand they own the property. They're going to build the house they want. We just want less of them. So what I would, I'll just go over a few of the stats so some of the people understand. Average square footage for Cumberland Place homes, 3,095 square feet. Side R has 8 floor plans. I got this off their website. 8 floor plans from 1,535 square feet to 2,080 square feet. Cumberland Place homes have 4 bedrooms. Side R, 4 models, 3 bedroom. 4 models have 3 bedrooms, 4 models have 4 bedrooms. We average on Cumberland Place 2.75 bathrooms. They do have a model that has 3 baths. 4 models have 2.5 baths. 3 models have 2 baths. Our Crooked Trail Cumberland Place, we have all but 2 homes or side entry or rear entry garages. We have 10 homes with in-ground pools, that's 37%. We have well landscaped yards. I've also included pictures of some of the properties in Cumberland Place, and I've included pictures that we've gotten from some of Side R's homes. Vast difference. We're here hoping that you guys would help us maintain the character and the characteristics, and I say character and as an emphasis. Okay, one of them may be aesthetics, one may be what the properties include. So something else on the second page, the smallest lot in Cumberland Place, I believe is 11,800 square feet. And we're talking about taking that neighborhood down to 6,000 square feet per lot. Real disappointing to hear. So Cumberland Place West, they've got 3 people that have already occupied homes. Their smallest lot is 11,100 square feet. They bought those homes thinking 2,200 square feet's a minimum. Their homes average 2,727 square feet. They have 2.83. I don't know where you get 8.3, but anyway, that's average of the garages. All but one is side entry garage. They have 1 pool. We're just asking that you consider. I understand they're going to, like I said, they're going to build the size homes they want. They do have bigger floor plans, I believe, than what may be on their website. We just would like to see the lots at least the 9,000 square foot minimum. I know they said they're going to do some 9,000 R1A size. We just spread it out. You've got pictures of their properties, vast difference. So please vote to oppose this change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Any questions for Mr. Cannon? Again, thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from Kathy Smith.
Thank you for your time. I oppose this zoning.
Try to get close to the microphone to help us, please. Thank you.
I oppose this zoning change. I'm a simple girl. We worked our whole life to get where we live. We started out in tiny houses, and we got bigger, and we got bigger, and we got bigger, and we found our forever home on Crooked Trail. I am Kathy Smith. I live at 8420 Crooked Trail. I oppose this zoning change because I'm worried about extra traffic through the neighborhood. We're having our first great grandchild this year, and I expect her to spend quite a bit of time at my home, and I want to make sure that she's safe when she's there. My children are all grown, but I do have grandchildren and a great-grandchild on the way, and that is the main reason I oppose this change.
Ms. Smith, would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Pardon?
State your name and address for the record.
Kathy Smith, 8420 Crooked Trail.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Ms. Smith? If not, the next card I have is from Danny Smith.
I want to say thank you for letting us come up here and give our opinions on this, but I first want to say I oppose this zoning change. I am certainly not against progress. I'm not against building, but what I am against is building these small homes in our neighborhood, just like my wife explained. Did I introduce myself?
Please
Danny
do.
Smith, 8420 Crooked Trail.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
You got carried away. Anyway, just like my wife had said, we'd worked hard all of our life. And the reason we bought there in 2015 is because it was a homeowners association. It was a dead-end street. It was a quiet street. There was no through traffic. And this is our forever home. All of this coming in is going to take a lot of that away from us. Like I said, I am not against development. I'm not against them building nice homes down the end of the street. You know, if they want to build big homes like we've got, more power to them. You know, come on in. That's not going to do anything but help increase the value of our homes. But bringing all of these small homes in there will have a direct effect on the values of our homes that we've worked so hard for all of our life to live where we live today. And this right here is going to tear it down. You know, we want continuity. We want to respect our HOA, which at the end of our street, that goes away. And so I doubt very seriously if the city is ever going to give us that gate, because it's a public street, because I've seen all the plans. I've seen long-term plans. And so, yeah, build some houses down there, but build them 3,000 square foot like we have. And let's keep the continuity of the neighborhood like it is. I completely oppose this new zoning change. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for Mr. Smith? If not, I have a card from Nona Brazier. If you just state your name and address for the record, and I apologize if I mispronounced.
Thank you for not butchering the last name. It's Nona Brazier.
Okay.
I'm at 7916 Crooked Trail, and I'm the baby in the neighborhood. My husband and I have been there, closed on that house February 23rd. I told we moved in from the Northwest, but I grew up in Texas, and we're just coming home. My husband's born in Texas. There are lots of places in Texas that you could call home, but we watched Tyler. We looked at Tyler. Tyler has a integrity and a sense of itself that we liked, that we loved, and we feel very welcomed here. This is home. My girlfriend up in the Northwest said, "What do you mean you bought a new house? A new construction? You specifically said you didn't want a new construction." And I said, "That's because I wanted a house that looked like Tyler, that felt like Tyler. My sister cousin lives across Broadway in that Cumberland area. I wanted space. I wanted brick and stone." My son came down with us, and my daughter picked the house. She said, "That's your house." Never before, and he's been in real estate and everything in the Northwest. He says, "I've never had a builder come meet with us and show us the house and say, this is how it's built, this is what it's done." Never seen that kind of pride in a house. I'm kind of surprised. I hear someone saying, we met with the neighbors, we talked with the neighbors. I'm a neighbor. I've never been talked to. I've never been notified. I've never been consulted. That looks like flat land behind my house there. I'm up on the cul-de-sac down there, one of the new houses that's built. There's a drop-off, there's a gully and a wash through there. They're gonna fill up 30 feet of gully. What happens to the runoff? And you know, nobody's asked me if they could connect to my fence or told me. I mean, I've already paid for my house and my fence. Are they gonna connect to my fence? Nobody's talked to us. I haven't seen anybody come in and say, this is what we want to do. This is what we're concerned about doing. My greatest concern is the continuity, the consistency, the integrity that is Tyler. Flying in, you can see lots of houses and roofs, and you call them houses made of ticky-tack. We specifically came down here and made over a $500,000 investment in a house that looks like Tyler, that feels like Tyler, that is Tyler, that was built by Tyler, that is lived in by people in Tyler, that will hold its own. It's not just people who want to come down because there's a price on the house. We lived in a place called Maple Valley. You can look it up in Washington State. And after a while, Seattle felt like, oh, that's our backyard. We can move in there, we can do what we want to do. And right now, Bellevue and Issaquah are fighting over Maple Valley, and it isn't Maple Valley anymore. We moved to Tyler, and I'm okay with change. I mean, we're in our 70s, and we up and came home. You know, not afraid of change. But I've seen what can happen if you get on that slope and you don't hold your own. You don't hold your integrity. You don't keep being what Tyler is. And Tyler's not a bunch of houses made of ticky-tack on some little bitty lots. I oppose these little lots. I don't even know how they're gonna do that. Have you been out there? Have you looked behind these houses? You're gonna have some flooding and some mess and stuff going on in there. I sincerely oppose you changing the continuity, the character, and the integrity of Tyler, Texas.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Price. Are there any questions for this witness? If not, thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from Jacqueline Humfeld.
Hello, my name's Jacqueline Humfeld, and I live at, or will be living at, 8024 Crooked Trail. Sorry. Last time I came up was the first time I've ever done anything like this, and I said I was nervous. Is it possible to be even more nervous the second time? Because I sure feel like it.
We want you to be comfortable and take your time.
Oh, thank you. I feel like everything I wanted to say has been said. That all the, that people have made the points that I think that my husband and I share tremendously. So I'll just add a few things. One is that, yes, we're concerned about the conformity of the neighborhood, not about development. We knew that there was going to be development when we bought our house. It'll be a year, or bought our property. It'll be a year at the end of this month. So we knew there was going to be development. We just didn't know that it was going to get changed from what the plot was at that time, with large lots for large houses. And we also knew that when we built, we were going to be conforming to the style of the existing houses, and we have done so. And when you go to I recommend, or I commend Cedar Builders for at least putting some of the lots back to the regular size on Cranford Circle. But what I'd really like to, excuse me, I used to live on a place called Cranford Circle, and it's popping out of my head. I'm sorry, on Crooked Trail. But it's the entire environment. It's the entire little neighborhood that's really important. And the fact that there is going to be open roadways between them, and that we don't have sidewalks, and we have a culture of people going out. In the last 2 weeks, my husband's brother has come to live with us full time. He has Alzheimer's, and he's moved into his second stage. And a quiet street, would be really good for him. So we would just really like it if the council would keep the development to the way that the original plot was, that these would be larger homes, larger lots, a nice, well-tended community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Umfeld. Any questions for this witness? If not, thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from Chris Clifton, I think it's, if I'm reading this correctly. Could state your name and address for the record.
And I live at 8204 Crooked Trail. Can you hear me?
Would you introduce your partner here?
My coworker I brought. Just let the record be that he is out of school today, so he is not truant and not skipping. We're out of school at Carlisle ISD with no power, so he's not there today. I want to state that I am in opposition, like I stated last time, of rezoning this portion. I live there kind of close to the end of the existing Crooked Trail area. I have 3,800 square foot. I bought the property in June of 2020, and so I've been there almost 2 years. And when I bought, seeing that the road had been extended, I knew there was going to be development that was going to come. Pyramid's done a good job of continuing the continuity of the neighborhood, building homes that are larger. That way that it kind of tries to match the style of the neighborhood. And, I'm thankful that Sidar has come out and spoke with us, and I was there when we spoke with them last time. And the thing we keep trying to tell them is, hey, let's go ahead and keep the continuity of the neighborhood. Let's build homes that match the existing character and, what we have there. Like Mr. Cannon and some of my neighbors have said, and even given examples, most of our neighborhood has 3,000 square foot. I have 5 bedrooms, 3-car garage, a pool on the ground. This is an investment for my future here of the next generation. And it's just, like the neighbors have said, this guy right here spends a lot of time outside. Right now he's looking at something right there, but most of the time when the sun's out, it's great for your kids to be outside climbing trees, riding bikes, shooting, the little dart Nerf guns, going out being a kid outside versus staying inside. And what our neighborhood right now, the way it is set up now, it's a safe place where you can let your children go outside and play with our neighbors. There's 3 kids down the road. There's grandkids next door. There's 9 kids, 2 houses down. There's 9 kids. There's always someone to play with. And like they've said, there's no sidewalks. There's plenty of people that walk dogs. I see daily, we see neighbors that walk dogs. And it's just a little community there. And of course, when we're welcoming our new neighbors down the streets, we always want to keep our neighborhood safe, continuity, the character, and keep the lot sizes larger. So I'm in opposition of changing to 1B and trying to protect my investment of the property I purchased 2 years ago. And living in South Tyler, I knew, that there's going to be progress. I'm not in opposition of homes being built down there. Let's keep it more like what we have existing in our neighborhood.
Mr. Clifton, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this gentleman? If not, I have a card from Lori Sermon.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Sermon. I live at 8404 Crooked Trail and been there for 28 years. I think we were the 3rd house on the street. And we have seen a lot of progress. In fact, we love the ballpark, right? So we hear the bats crack and the kids run the bases and the fans cheer. And we are glad for our neighbors down the street that our new neighbors. I walk the street almost every day. I just wear out our neighbors going up and down the street. We don't have sidewalks, but hopefully you've been out and seen the neighborhoods. In the space that I live in, we have to go out and look at a property. It's not good enough just to look at an appraisal on a piece of paper because you can look at the picture and see, but the neighborhood around it is very important. So although we really appreciate the fact that, they're making some concessions to put larger lots and larger homes just on Crooked Trail, what also goes around it is also extremely important. So our family is not in favor of the change, We at least feel like the lots need to be the same as what they were scheduled to be. Hopefully the homes that go on these lots will be consistent with what we've got in the neighborhood. But again, I think it's really important that you see what's there today and what's been proposed, because in our opinion, it's not consistent. Thank you.
Ms. Sermon, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this lady? If not, I have a card from Anwar Khalifa.
No, that's for my Khalifa court.
Oh, okay. It's got in my pile, so. Those are the only cards I have for people that signed up to speak, but we don't want to limit opportunities to any other person here who'd like to speak. If not, I'm going to give Mr. Priestner the right to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I just want to point out, what we're talking about is the difference between the R1A and R1B. I understand that it's different, but remember that under our R1A, we're not talking about front-facing garages versus side. We're not talking about minimum square footage. None of those things. This property is zoned R1A. So all of that, these can be subdivided into 9,000 square foot lots with the exact same house that's being proposed on those lots right now. What we're trying to do is mitigate for that smaller size by improving access, by supporting the closure of Crooked Trail on the back side of it. If this is done as R1A and we're not giving up anything, then that's something that we don't necessarily need to be in that fight. But we think that this is a better plan, especially given that both of these roads are going to connect out to the R1D. That traffic is still coming through here. There is R1D lots to be developed to the west that will attach to this, which go over to Cumberland Road. This is a piece of the puzzle, not the entire puzzle. So the difference that we're looking at is 86 lots to 98 lots. That's the difference between R1A and R1B that we're proposing here. But again, we feel it's better because we're adding in a deed restriction of a 60-foot buffer on the east side. We're keeping the R1A lots where they are adjacent to the existing houses and buffering them as much as possible. All of those are not afforded under the straight R1A. So we think this is a better development for the neighborhood. There is not a requirement under the R1A to match the house next door to you. We have minimum standards, and that is what we're looking at. So I just encourage you to look at the difference between the R1A and the R1B, because that's really what we're talking about here. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Priestner?
Yeah, Mr. Priestner, okay, so if you kept the R1A, it would be 86 lots?
That's correct.
And if it was the R1B, it would be 98 lots?
That's correct. As shown, it's 98 lots.
Okay, and I heard one of the neighbors state that there was an optional gate that would not make it a private road. Have you heard anything about that?
Again, that's a city issue. Crooked Trail is a public street as it sits today.
I understand.
That means that the right-of-way was dedicated to the city of Tyler. The city of Tyler, through council, is the only one that could approve a gate there. So that is not a decision we can make. We would fully support, once the connection is made, we'll fully support any type of closure, amendment, gates, whatever, because we think that it needs to turn where most of the access is coming from the west. So we're fully in support of that.
Gotcha.
I just want it to be clear, it's not our decision.
Gotcha.
And it's not ours either.
Correct.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Priestner? Any commissioners seek recognition? Is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny item Z 22-006.
Second.
Mr. Swain makes a motion to deny the zoning change. Ms. Phoenix seconds that motion. Any discussion? All right, Sheila, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Nichols.
Aye.
Commissioner Landis.
Aye.
Commissioner Swain.
Aye.
Commissioner Phoenix.
Aye.
Chairman Hudson.
Aye. The aye on the motion to deny the zoning request is denied. Thanks to everybody for your time and presence here today. Just pause a few minutes while the room empties out. The next item on our agenda is PD 22-004, Mount Calvary Baptist Church. Thrani?
This is a zone change request from R1A Single Family Residential District to PMF Planned Multifamily District. This is a property that's located on Duncan Field Avenue. The applicant is requesting the zone change to allow for a daycare on the portion of the property that currently is a church, and they're requesting to add a portion of daycare on the property. All adjacent properties are zoned R1A, which is a single-family residential district. Some of them are undeveloped, and some of them are developed with single-family homes. The future land use guide currently states that it's single-family medium-low density. Since it's a PMF, this would change to multifamily. So the applicant's requesting for a daycare on the portion of the property, and there's a site narrative attached to the PMF portion, and that would limit the uses to just the church and the daycare. Since the daycare is not associated part of the church, it's a commercial venture, so that's why this zone changed to allow for both of them on the same property. Out of the notices that was sent, none was received in favor or in opposition to the request. Staff recommends approval of the zone change with the site narrative limiting to church and daycare uses.
Thank you, Thrani. Any questions for city staff? If not, I have a lot of cards up here. I don't think I have a card on this item, but are there any persons here who would like to speak on this item? If not, would a commissioner like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve PD 22-004.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-013, George McHale and Clara Firestone. Thrani?
This is a zone change request from C1 to C2. That's a light commercial district to general commercial. This is a property that's located along Shiloh Road. The applicant is requesting the zone change to allow for a self-storage facility. To the south of the property is zone C2. There's also, there is currently an outdoor storage owned by the same applicant. And the property to the northeast and south are zone C2. Like I said, there's outdoor storage to the south, and to the east, to the north is undeveloped land. And to the west is zone RPO. That's a mobile home park. This would change the future land use guide from single family medium low density to neighborhood commercial. So the applicant is proposing a 2-story climate controlled storage along Shiloh Road. The property, the Texas Department of Transportation is working on an expansion of a project for Roans Quarter Road, future alignment through the intersection of Shiloh. Right now it's closer to the Troop Highway. They're planning to realign that, and Cameron, our traffic engineer, is here to speak more on that. But to give more information on that, Tyler Area Metropolitan Planning Organization (MPO) has adopted the preliminary proposal of the in their master street plan that shows the alignment of the future Water Road through this property. I want to show. I don't have an exhibit here, but the preliminary proposal shown by the TxDOT is currently going exactly right through the middle of the property. We reached out to TxDOT since there was a zone change request along the property on Shiloh, and they said that this is in the preliminary phase. There could be some changes in the future, so that's not set in stone yet, and also they have not started acquiring right-of-way for the same proposal. So at this time, the staff had reviewed the request. Out of the 8 notices that was sent, none was received in opposition or in favor to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from C1 to C2.
Thank you, Thron. Any questions for city staff? If not, I only have one card. Garrett Von, help me.
Van Manen.
Okay. Mayhan Mon.
Hi there, folks. My name is Garrett Van Manen. I'm part of the ownership group of this property and adjacent property to the south. And thank you very much for giving me your time today. But we are owners and operators of self-storage properties. We own 7 facilities around the Tyler community. We think that this is a fantastic community. We purchased this property to the south and the subject property in the front in 2020. And our plan since the beginning has been to expand this in order to provide more self-storage to the Tyler community, which is needed. And this particular development will bring a really significant building to Shiloh Road, which we think will be a great addition to the community. So this is planned to be a 2-story facility. That property has a lot of grade to it. And so we'll be putting a 2-story facility out there, which would bring an additional approximately 36,000 square feet to this facility. So as Tharani mentioned, there is a planned TxDOT expansion. They presented 3 options previously. One of those options goes through this facility. And if that were to happen, we actually would lose almost the entirety of our existing facility out there. However, there was a second option which would connect to Thistle Drive, which is just to our west. And if that were to happen, probably the only thing to remain of that property would be this section, zone C1. So as she mentioned, we're asking for a change from C1 to C2. There's plenty of C2 zoning around this property, and that would allow us to bring this to its highest and best use. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this witness? If not, that's the only card I have on this item. Are there other persons who would like to speak on this item? If not, would a commissioner like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z22-013.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-018, Cross Development, CC Tyler LLC. Tharani?
This is a zone change request from PCD, Planned Commercial District, to C2, General Commercial District. This is a property that's located along, well, it's the entire property is along Frankston Highway, but this subject property is to the northern portion of that particular lot. The applicant is requesting the zone change to combine the subject property that's shown in the map to the northern lot for a car dealership. Currently, the northern lot, the building has been demolished, and so the applicant is planning for a car dealership. So combining these two to make it as one, it'll be consistent. So that's the applicant's plan. Looking at the zoning in the area, north, east, and west are zone C2 and all with commercial uses, and to the south is PCD and is undeveloped. The entire lot that is on PCD, last year that it was annexed into the city limits for the Caliber collision, and they had a site plan which showed some of the criterias, and since the applicant is planning to sell to the northern property and they want to remain it as consistent zoning because the property to the north is zone C2. They didn't want the split zoning to be C2 and the PCD, since they would combine to become one C2 lot, therefore the proposal. This would be, the future land use guide would be inconsistent, that is general commercial. And that's the portion that's going to combine to the property to the north. And right now, the building is already demolished to the property to the north. Out of 5 notices that was sent, none was received in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from PCD to C2.
Thank you, Thrani. Any questions for city staff?
Ronnie, they intend to combine with the lot to the north left, right? Because the right is the bank.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I have a card from Mr. Watley. Mr. Watley?
I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Mark Watley's here for questions. Any questions from Mr. Watley? Any other person who would like to speak on this item? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve Z22-018.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-021, Richard Averett. Thrani?
This is a zone change request from R1A to C1, a single-family residential district to C2. This is a property that's located along Myers Street. The applicant is requesting a zone change to develop the property with commercial uses. The property to the north is zone POD, which is a location of an office, and the property to the east is the train, which is M1, which is an industrial district. The property to the west and south are zoned single family, R1A, and is developed with single family homes. Since the applicant is requesting to C1, this would change the future land use guide from single family medium low density to neighborhood commercial. The applicant is planning to subdivide the property into 2 and have the one lot that is facing the Troop Highway to change into a commercial for commercial uses. Looking at the history in the neighborhood, let me go back. Few lots to the kind of southeast. It was recently zone changed to PCD, R1A to PCD, and for commercial use since they had access to Troop Highway. This would be similar case. Since they have access to Troop Highway, they won't be accessing off of Myers Street. And also with this C1 zoning, they would be required a buffer yard in the back and also to the east. And Cameron Williams, our traffic engineer, he had reviewed the request and recommended a shared access because there is a POD that has a driveway coming off of it. And so he recommended a shared access, so there won't be well, it can have its own access, but the traffic engineer has recommended a shared access. Out of the 10 notices that was sent, none was received in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from R1A to C1.
Thank you, Thrani. Any questions for city staff?
I have a question for Thrani. Are you saying that this property can have its own access off of Troop Highway? TxDOT would allow that? Is that true?
Will I let Cameron speak? Oh, he's not here. Okay. Well, it does not. It does not meet the criteria of TxDOT as per the spacing, but this access, since it's the only lot that has access to Troop Highway, I don't think they could deny the access. But I have not talked to TxDOT, but I did consult with Cameron, and he just recommended having access to the property to the north, shared access to that property to the north.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ronnie, what we're saying is that property will use the existing curb cut of that property adjacent to it, use the existing driveway.
And
yes, that's what is recommended.
Okay.
And they've talked to their neighbor about the shared access agreement, or do we know any of that?
I am not aware of that yet, but they also have submitted a plat which we are talking to the surveyor and the applicant, and they are aware that we recommend that, but we haven't had any response from them yet.
Would the plat require them to have a shared access agreement, or would the plat allow them to have their own access off the tree?
I believe it will.
So the access to Troop Highway would have to be in accordance with TxDOT access. So they wouldn't be able to get a driveway without, I mean, I think the TxDOT would want them to exhaust their options before considering, having their own driveway. But at this time,
so that would be my concern, obviously. Not being able to rezoning it and then not being able to have access off of Troop because TxDOT's not allowing it.
typically, if they don't own any of the adjacent properties, like in the case, I think, to the south, they own both of those properties at that time.
Okay.
That's why they were able to do that shared access, or they were required to do the shared access. If they don't have any other means to get to Troop Highway, then, or any other options, then, like Riley said, that they don't deny access if there's no other options.
If they don't, they won't deny access.
Right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions for city staff? I do have a card from Denise Nelms. Ms. Nelms? Yes, ma'am. Would you come to the microphone, please, and state your name and address for the record?
My name is Denise Nelms. I live at 12595 South Hill Creek in White House, but we do own the properties adjacent to this property. And yes, we were the ones you were talking about, but we turned one of our rent house into our commercial office, and TxDOT did tell us that we had to have a shared drive. If at any time that property at 5506 Myers, if we decide to do something commercially, we would have to have a shared driveway. We were just curious as if they do split, and we understood by TxDOT that we had actually asked about that knockout as well. They told us no, but we'd have to do it on our side. But we were curious if they did, what type of building they would put there, and if they had a plan to do it themselves or to actually sell it as a commercial piece of property.
Beyond my pay grade.
We just, for us, we did the same thing. But we just wanted to be sure that if that's the case, down on the house next to us, we still have that as our residential property. So would the city require that 10-foot buffer between their property and our property there on that side?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and presence. That's the only card I have on this item. Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z22-021.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items approved. Next is PD 22-005, Henderson Overlake. Caleb?
Yes. Okay, this is a PCD Planned Commercial Development Site Plan Amendment, 5604 Donnybrook Avenue. The applicant is requesting the amendment to the PCD site plan to allow for commercial uses on that property. The current site plan restricts that property to a gym. The gym is no longer in operation on that property, so they're requesting to allow for just general commercial uses. The properties to the north are zoned PCD and PMXD1 and are developed with a mix of retail and residential spaces. The adjacent properties to the east are, or that little strip of land is zoned RPO and is undeveloped, but then a little further east, properties are zoned R1A and are developed with single family housing. The properties to the south are zoned C2, a little mix of RPO as well, and are undeveloped. And then the properties to the west are developed with the same retail residential spaces. The request would amend the future land use guide from single-family medium low density to be general commercial. This is the property. As I mentioned, the applicant's requesting the zone change to allow for those commercial uses. This is their proposed site plan. They're proposing to have a combination of food, retail, and office spaces. It's a little hard to see, but I believe the portion marked as A is for food. That part on the bottom left corner is food. That north portion is retail, and then the C is kind of office, general office spaces. These uses would be consistent with the surrounding area, and upon review of the property, that it appears as though they have enough existing parking spaces to accommodate their new proposed uses. Of the 10 notices that were mailed out, 1 notice was returned in favor and none were returned in opposition, and staff recommends approval of this PCD site plan.
Thank you, Caleb. Any questions for city staff? All right, the only card I have is for Mr. Watley. Mr. Watley,
Mr. Chairman, I'm here for questions if needed.
thanks for your time and presence. Any questions for Mr. Watley? 909 East Southeast Loop 323. If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve PD 22-005.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-011 Steel Real Estate Holdings.
This is a proposed zone change request from AG Agricultural District to C2 General Commercial District. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop the property as a car dealership. The properties to the north are zoned PMF and C1, and the C1 is developed with a shopping retail center, and then the PMF section there is for future single-family attached housing. The adjacent property to the east are zoned PMF and C1, and is developed with retail and a senior living facility. And then the adjacent properties to the south and to the west are zoned AG agricultural and are currently undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies this property as neighborhood commercial. This request would amend the future land use guide to be general commercial. This is the property. As I mentioned, the applicant is requesting a zone change to develop a car dealership. The surrounding area is mainly commercial development. This map doesn't quite show. You can see some spatterings of C2 there. There's some more C2 further to the north and further to the south as well. So the C2 zoning is generally consistent. Also with the proposed housing and development that's going on along Crow Road there, that will have a large increase of traffic being sent to this area anyway, so this wouldn't really expand much more of the traffic. Of the 7 notices that were mailed out, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval.
Thanks. Any questions for city staff?
So Caleb, if they would have single-family homes right next to the lots, would they require a buffer yard or something?
That's correct.
Do they need to do it now, or would they have to do it once the construction of the homes?
If, under the current zoning, it would be once they begin building, if they're adjacent to residential. As it is right now, I don't believe that C2 has a buffer yard requirement against agricultural. So if they got the zone change and then built now, they wouldn't have a buffer yard requirement. If the adjacent agricultural properties were rezoned to be residential before they submitted any building construction plans, then we would require the buffer yard to be set in.
And they're gonna have a split car dealership because there's a road straight in between, right? Or they're closing that down?
The applicant hasn't expressed closing the road at this time, so I believe it would be a split car dealership.
So yeah, that's a private way, as essentially a drive or a shared driveway with with the name associated with it. So I would think that that's intended to be kind of a frontage or access road for off of Old Jacksonville. So I think we would prefer that to remain in place for future development that can utilize that. But yeah, I think it looks like right now we don't have any indication of how that's going to look.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, I have a card from, any other questions for staff, Caleb? I have a question or a card from Savannah Boyles. Ms. Boyles?
It's Bowles.
Bowles, sorry. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Savannah Bowles. I work for Lake Construction, the general contractor that is working with Wagner Cadillac to develop this project. And we are just here to ensure that we get it approved, or hopefully get approved for this zone change to help build the dealership for Wagner Cadillac in the future. And based on the site plans we have currently, the road running through the two properties would stay there. I don't have any other information for it being demolished or filled in and used as one big lot right now. As far as I know, that's not in the plans. But that's all I have.
Thank you for your time. And did you state your name, your address for the record, please?
Oh, yes. My name is Savannah Bowles. I live at 7982 County Road 381.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Bowles? If not, that's the only card I have on this item. Any other person like to speak? If not, would a commissioner like to make a motion?
Commissioner, make a motion to approve items E22-011.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Item is approved. Next is Z22-014 Kittrell's Village, LLC.
This is a zone change request from C1 light commercial to RMF of residential multifamily on a portion of this lot. This is the lot in question. The applicant's requesting the zone change to develop the property with a senior living facility. The properties to the north and to the west are in Zone 2 of the City of Tyler ETJ, but are developed with an investment company and are otherwise undeveloped. The adjacent property to the east, beyond the C1 portion, is zoned AG and is developed with a church. And then the adjacent property to the south is zoned C1 and is currently undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies this property as a mixed-use center, which the request would amend to be multifamily. This is the aerial of the lot. As I mentioned, the eastern portion isn't planning to be rezoned at this time. Speaking with the applicant, I believe that the intent with the eastern portion is to, in the future, develop it with retail spaces. But as of right now, they own that portion on the west and are planning to develop it with the senior living facility. The future extension of West Cumberland Road is stated to go there on that southern portion of the property. Right-of-way dedication would be done when this property is platted before it's built, but that's something to consider, that the southern portion of this property would be taken up by the West Cumberland, but the applicant is aware of that. Of the 7 notices that were mailed out, 1 was returned in favor, which was the church across the street, and none were returned in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change.
Thank you, Caleb. Any questions for Caleb? If not, the only card I have on this is from Allen.
Thank you. Alan Knoll, 3899 Maple Avenue in Dallas. As Caleb said, we're planning a senior living facility here. One of the main reasons we chose the site, it's a little hard to see because of the trees, just on the left side of the green line, we back up to the Legacy Trail. And we think that's just a phenomenal amenity for seniors as they walk up and down and on pretty days like today. So we're age restricted, 62 and older, and happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions for this witness? If not, thank you for your time and presence. Mr. Kittrell, do you have anything to add? Those are the only, any other person here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we approve Z22-014.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-015, Tyler Tex Holdings.
This is a zone change request from R1B, single-family residential, to C2, general commercial. Oops. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop this property with warehouse spaces. The adjacent properties to the north are zoned AG, agricultural, and M2, general industrial. And the M2 portion is developed with a utility plant, and then the northern AG portion is currently undeveloped, but I believe is intending to be developed with at least one single-family house. The adjacent property to the east is zone AG and also a little R1A, and is undeveloped or developed with single-family housing. There's a creek that runs there along the back, which is undevelopable, which I think is why it has that kind of weird look to it. The adjacent properties to the south are zoned AG and M2 and are undeveloped. And then the adjacent property to the west are in zone 2 of the city of Tyler ETJ, but are developed with single-family housing. The request would amend the future land use guide from single-family medium low density to general commercial. Yeah, and as I mentioned, the applicant's requesting the zone change to develop warehouses on the property. The property was originally rezoned from M2, general industrial, to R1B, single-family residential, in 2019. The applicant did not develop the property with single-family homes. I believe this is a new applicant than the one that owned it previously, and is now requesting a zone change to C2, which would be less intense than the original M2 zoning, to develop these warehouse spaces. As I mentioned, the east portion is located in a FEMA flood zone and would be undevelopable. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop there on the west side of the property, these warehouse spaces. And then also because the property is adjacent to AG, kind of what we mentioned on that last, the other zoning case, that there wouldn't be a buffer yard requirement if there's single-family housing put up there. It would be voluntary, but there is a driveway. It's a little difficult to see here, but there is a driveway that runs there on that northern portion of the lot that kind of acts as a slight open buffer there between the two properties. Of the 7 notices that were mailed out, none were returned in favor, and we did have one return in opposition to the request. That's the property owner there directly to the north. The applicant stated that they were developing a single-family house there on the property, and they were against the warehouse traffic being that close to where their house would be located. That comes to a total protest calculation of 11.05%. Staff has reviewed the request and recommends approval of the zone change to C2.
All right, Caleb, any questions for city staff?
One question, Caleb. Looking at the other aerial photo, this one, Loop 49 right there, is that an elevated loop or is it just strictly road? Is there frontage on that frontal property between that and 49? Or can someone just jump out?
No, they wouldn't have access from, well, the lot fronts 49, where Neighbors Road is a bridge that goes over Toll 49. There is no exit there that they could exit off of Toll 49 to get onto Neighbors Road. Okay. If they had access from Toll 49, they'd have to have a driveway directly off of Toll 49, which would be a textile requirement and it's not likely to happen. So any frontage would have to be off of Neighbors Road, okay. Which, yeah, they couldn't access from Toll 49 right there in that location.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Caleb, previous zoning was M2?
Correct.
That's correct, before it went to R1B in 2019?
That's
and
correct.
now going back to C2 for warehouses?
Correct.
Any other questions? I have a card from Mike Barham. Mike, is this yours?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Barham with Barham Architects, representing this client. And again, originally he was going to put single-family residences there. But you can see from the property, there's a 45-foot drop back to Mud Creek, back to the west side there and to the south, and a lot of it's in floodplain. So we're trying to just grab that upper kind of northwest corner there to be able to build on this. It's almost 34 acres. So there's a lot of acreage there, but not a lot of buildable land. So originally with the R1A and putting residential there, it's south of the sewer plant, and then with Mud Creek and all that, and the 45-foot drop, he decided he'd like to do warehouses there.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mr. Barham? It's the only card I have on this item. Are there other persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve Z22-015.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-012, Holdy Mask.
Yes. This is a zone change from M1 to R1D. It is located east of the northeast intersection of Southwest Loop 323 and Walton Road. The applicant is requesting a zone change to bring the property into conformance. The adjacent properties to the, let's see, there we go. The adjacent properties to the northwest and south are zoned M1. And they are developed with industrial uses, a single-family home, and apartments respectively. The adjacent property to the east is zoned R1D. It was actually recently rezoned a few months ago. The future land use guide identifies this property as a single-family medium-low density. This request would amend the future land guide to single-family and single-family attached. The applicant is requesting the zone change to renovate or rebuild a single-family home on the property. This request would allow for a use that would be consistent with the rest of the area. The zone change is consistent with the Tyler First goal to add more residents to the north end planning area. Here is the aerial imagery of this. As you can see, there are some single-family homes on this street adjacent to this subject property. Of the 10 notices that were mailed out, none were returned in favor or opposition to this request. The staff recommends approval.
All right, thanks. Any questions for city staff? If not, the only card I have is from Bridget Mask and Holding Mask. Would y'all like to, someone like to speak? You just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Bridget Mask. I live at 1216 South Peach Avenue. Holding Mask is my mom. She's in an Alzheimer's place, and she passed the home down to me, and we're trying to make it like brand new. We've added on to it. We're not adding another house to it. We're adding another master bedroom, making the house, make the area much nicer. And I'm passing it on to my daughter, who's pregnant, so that she can have somewhere for her and her daughter.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this witness. It's the only card I have. Are there others who would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that.
You got it, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Z22-012.
Second.
Thanks. Did I cut off somebody's question? No. Good. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item is approved. The next card I have is Miguel Chavez, Z22-016.
Yes, this is a zone change from M1 to R1A, single-family residential. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop a single-family home. The adjacent properties to the north and west are zoned M1. The adjacent properties to the east are zoned R2, two-family residential district, and consist of a mixture of church and undeveloped land. The adjacent property to the south is zoned C1, and it is developed with the single-family home. The future land use guide, this request is consistent with the future land use guide, which identifies the property as single-family, medium-low density. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop a single-family home on the property. This request would bring the property into conformance. This zone change is consistent with the Tyler First goal of adding more residences to the north end planning area. Here's a picture of the site. Here's the picture of the notices. Of the 21 notices mailed, none were returned in favor or opposition to the request. So staff recommends approval.
Thanks. Any question for city staff? If not, I don't have any cards. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z22-016.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-019, Luis Leandro.
This is a zone change from C1 to R1B. It is located south of the southwest intersection of Old Noonday Road and Frankston Highway. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop single-family homes. The adjacent properties to the east are zoned R1A, and it's undeveloped land. The adjacent properties to the north, west, and south are zoned C1, light commercial, consisting of a restaurant, undeveloped land, and a single-family home, respectively. This request is consistent with the adopted Tyler First Future Land Use Guide, which identifies this property as single-family, medium to low density. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop 2 single-family homes on the property. The applicant will have to subdivide the property into 2 lots for developing 2 homes. This zone change is consistent with the Tyler First goal to add more residences to the north end planning area. Of the 13 notices mailed out, none were returned in favor or opposition of. Staff recommends approval.
All right, thanks. Any questions for city staff? If not, I have several cards. First one's Donald Sanders. Mr. Sanders?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to let, we're challenge hearing, and so did you say 2 homes on that 1 lot? So it would go 6,000 square feet of a lot, and you're going to split the lot into 2 homes?
Ms. Mitchell, I believe that's what he said, two homes. The property would have to be subdivided. Mr. Sanders.
Good afternoon. Chairman David Hudson and to the commissioners here. I'm glad to have the opportunity to come speak before you today. And I'm especially glad to be here for this hearing because I'm finding out that the problem we're concerned about is kind of citywide. We're not against any improvement in our city or our community. We know we need houses, rooftops and so forth, but we're concerned about the way we're allowing it to happen. And that's when developers been able to take what was a single lot, get them approved for 3 to 4 houses on that particular lot. That's not giving those that desire to have ownership to raise families where they have yards for the children to play in. You can't hardly step out your yard out the door without stepping in your neighbor's yard. They'll complain about children, balls in the yard and so forth. This particular area, I'm Donald Sanders. I live at 1020 South Butler Avenue, but I do own property in this area where we're concerned about. And we are just concerned about the congestion in the communities where we say too many houses on one lot. Now, if it's a corner lot, they'll put 2 houses on each corner, on each end. And that's not giving the neighbors or the children any kind of plan or whatever for home ownership. And I know in some cases they're saying we're not going to sell them, we're going to lease them or rent them, so that don't give the owners any kind of home ownership just to be able to rent some property. So we're asking you all, if you all will consider, when these applications come forward, we're going to change what was a single family lot to 2, 3 to 4 lots. It's not giving enough area for these homes. Some nice homes, but no area, no property for the yard, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Thank you.
I would like to add into that, in the area where they're doing this, our property values are tripling, just because they're putting 3 or 4 houses on one lot.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Any questions for Mr. Sanders? If not, I have a card from Connie Barnes, I believe it is.
Yes. My name is Connie Barnes, I'm at 2917
Get close. I'm sorry, ma'am. Get close to the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Connie Barnes. I'm at 2917 Old New Day Road and 2915 Old New Day Road, representing my parents. I'm not necessarily opposed to the progress that's going on in our neighborhood, but as Mr. Sanders said, the houses are being built so close together that you really don't have any breathing room. And it's been said that they're building the houses to promote the neighborhood and safety of the children. But if you have too many homes there, you get more congestion, more traffic. That's almost the main thoroughfare now, a shortcut to get to Frankston Highway that they're using on Old New Day Road, which is the backside of this Frankston Highway. So, it's been said that, we want to build the community up, make it safe for the children, but putting a lot of houses on one piece of property is not making it safe for the neighborhood. And also my concern was the increase of the taxes. Like Mr. Sanders said, our property value is going up, which means our taxes go up. And also, if they are going to build, which this property is next to my parents' property, I would request that a retainer wall be put there, because what's happening is they're coming in, they're leveling off the ground, and it's lower than what my property is. Therefore, when it rains, I lose part of my property. Because that's happening on the other side of me, where I didn't know I could come to council and request this. But on one side, I'm having a problem with they built a fence, their property is lower than mine. Now I'm losing my property. And I don't want that to happen on the other side of my property.
All right, any questions for this witness? If not, thank you, ma'am, for your time and presence. I have a card from Patricia Record.
I'll pass at this time. Mr. Sanders and Honey said what I need to say. Thank you.
All right, let the record show that. Could you stand up and state your address for the record, please?
Patricia Record, 2712 Hole, Tyler, 75701.
Thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from, I can pronounce the last name, but the first name is Gerline, I'm sorry. I know the last name. Would you like to speak?
Well,
Yeah, come to the microphone, please. Gerline. Thank you, ma'am, and if you'd just state your name and address for the record.
I am Gerline Hudson, president of the St. Louis Development Apartment. And we're concerned about the houses that are going up so close in our neighborhood. It seems that they put them so close together and they put the fence in it close. You don't have no walking space between them. And it's sort of make our community look small. It is growing, but it doesn't, the property value go down. That's what I'm trying to say. So we want to build up our community, not make it go down, where the value won't go down.
Thank you. Can you show me where you represent an apartment building?
No, I represent the community association.
Okay, thank you.
Group.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hudson?
Any questions?
All right, thank you for your time and presence. I have a card from Betty Mitchell. Ms. Mitchell.
Good afternoon. I'm Betty McDonald Mitchell, 3029 Frankston Highway. And I come with a lot of asks. First of all, I want to thank you for the job you do. We know that it's not easy looking at all that you have to go through and all of us that you have to listen to. My first ask, I look at Ms. Shirley McKellar, that's not her. I look at my teacher here, Mr. Hudson, that's not him, Don Point is not him. So my first ask for full disclosure for us that are sitting in the audience, if you guys could get templates with your names on it so we could recognize who's voting with us and who's voting against us, and just to kind of know who's in charge up here. That's my first ask. And I think in terms of, Mr. Hudson, I think I first had you in school in 1978 when you were about 5 and I was about 2. And
I wish you hadn't said that.
We were young back then. And so back at that particular point in time, my dad, the late Reverend W.A.I. McDonald, and the members of the St. Louis community, we were not even a part of Tyler, to help you understand the organization that we represent. We are the St. Louis Association community, and at that particular point in time, because of the things that were going on within the city, integration and all of that, and the efforts to improve that community, an association was started back in the 70s. Butler College Association was also started. We have come together as a community, the Butler College Association and the St. Louis, looking at the plight and the conditions and the things that are happening within our community. And as been stated, we're not against progress. We are for progress in the community. But we do have some concerns. Our concerns are planned growth, not having spotted zone, then looking at not diminishing our tax value, looking at the infrastructure that increases, that's needed as you build these apartment complex. And we are concerned about the smaller homes and where they're located, yet we recognize that we need a community and we need to live in a community where there's affordable housing for everyone. And so we want what we want out of that, our ask, and we've been working with our councilman, Broderick McGee. We want a neighborhood with a strategic, comprehensive plan. Now, we're having to learn about these plans at 1:30 at night when when, you know, in the middle of the night when we're seeing city council and we're seeing that there are certain plans that will happen for North Tyler and for Butler College, and this last meeting, St. Louis was added on to that. We don't want plans for us without us. We want to be a part in being engaged in those plans and to allow, when we look at the plans, we not only look at lot size, but we also want to look at consistency and continuity in square footage, the home size. We want, and I know that you can't do this, but we'll be working. I want to tell you what we're looking at as an association and as our two communities. We want to think in terms of a consultant paid by CDBG funds to help us develop our communities so everybody can have affordable house and where we can have these different lot sizes, but it would be continuity and consistency in how that has been done, where no one loses. We're looking for win-win solutions for our community. And then we want to look at the draft plans and ordinances that regulate. I think one of the issues that we're facing here, and as we look at this whole piece of what's going on in our community with the others that have presented today, I think maybe city councils, planning, zoning, may think in terms of having a session where you educate us on, where we're clear about when these zone changes are happening, what's the process, and then how does it affect us, and how, as a community, that we don't come here trying to hear and understand and really not understand the changes and things that's happening to us. So we want to be a part of the plan. We want to be an engaging plan. We don't want planning and zoning planning for us. We want to have leadership of that planning, and we come to you, and that we work with the builders. We're appreciative of what Mr. Leandro is doing in our communities. And I feel sometimes when he's come here that he probably feels like we're working against him, and we have done some things that that's not our goal. But our goal is to be involved and engaged and to understand what is happening in the community and what's in the betterment for us all. Then we think in terms of TIF, looking at terms of neighborhood all around that loop, commercials, buildings, business and things. Give us some of that money to help develop our communities. I learned through Zone meeting at 1:30 in the morning the other night that they're planning on doing some more apartment complexes in there. Do we have the infrastructure within St. Louis community for the apartment complexes? The answer is no. When we look at the plans, our water, we can't drink it. The sewer lines back up, the more you put in there and whatever. So we want to work with the city of Tyler to develop the infrastructure and to make sure that the planning that happens, that's planned. We also want in our community for those of us, most of us that are here, we've grown a little bit older, we retire. I retire officially April 15th of this year. And so what happens, we don't want to go to North Tyler for anything. We don't have to want to go to North Tyler to the Glass Center. We want that same type thing out in the St. Louis Butler College area. So we're asking, what happened to those COVID funds? We know that the president's budget is going to have additional $10 billion, possibly $15 billion is going to be dispersed all in our two areas. We want some of that money in our communities. So what we're asking for, and we will figure out with all of us that are here, we're having special meetings where we're meeting to identify what is it that we want for our communities and how do we engage with you to make those things happen. With all of that said, I'm going to support Mr. Leandro's request for that particular area. And we heard 2 houses. We're on 3 or 4 houses in that particular area, but we want to move forward. I thought about coming here asking for a moratorium on planning and zoning in our communities until we have the time to catch up to see what all these plans are. I wouldn't have known some of the things, and I try to keep up, but for being up at 1:30 at night watching City Council. So with that said, that's my ask. The first thing you can do very easily, name tents, everybody. Name tents so we'll know exactly who you are. We thank you for your service, and I'm going to say that I support the request.
Thank you very much, Betty. We're happy for your input, and I hope others outside the room have been listening.
And Ms. Mitchell, you brought up a very identifying factor that the community needs to get an understanding of what planning and zoning actually is. If you could pass the word, they will be highlighted on Facebook Live under the Let's Talk Tyler Facebook page. You will get an understanding of planning and zoning this Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, another meeting. You know about the other meeting, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
Those are the only cards I have on this item. Are there other persons who'd like to speak on this for or against? Yes, sir. Mr. Leandro. But when you leave, please fill out a card for the record.
A little late. So my name is Moses Leandro, 12076 County Road, 1169, Tyler, Texas, 75703. This particular property, I have interest in it, and then so does my father. Just a little bit rundown of it. We purchased that property probably about 4 or 5 years ago. It was an abandoned, almost just demolishable property there from a gentleman out of Dallas who moved out there several years ago. We bought the property, we demolished the building, and we had other plans with it. We ended up just deciding to put it for sale. We had a couple of prospects for it. One of them was a gentleman who wanted to put an automobile dealership out there. We weren't too fond of it, and so instead of devaluing the area, we decided to keep the property and subdivide it to put 2 homes, single-family homes, facing Old Noonday Road. Going R1B instead of R1A, the reason being is subdividing it into 2 separate lots would give us a total square footage of about approximately 8,100 per lot, which is a little under the R1A threshold, and so going R1B would give us that. And so the dimensions for those 2 lots would be approximately about 54 feet frontage by, I think, 120, 150 feet due west, so long ways. Our intentions are to build homes approximately around 1,300 AC, so maybe about 1450 on the roof. Part of that is to take advantage of the new funding, the grant passed, which is now part of St. Louis. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we are there. And we're trying to do our part too. Most of the new expansion, besides a couple of other builders in that area, we account for quite a bit of the new growth in that area. And we're trying to be as engaged as we can. I will say, as far as being engaged, there's a home that's been burned down there for probably about 2 years now. And I got to say, if you talk to code enforcement, I'm probably the only person who has been on top of code enforcement trying to get them to get tear down. And so I would say I commend your engagement, but I want you guys to also be engaged in other areas, not just in the new growth. And so I just want to point that out. Obviously, I welcome any feedback from the community. But then again, I feel that we have to conform and also be engaged in all activities that are happening in that area. So,
thank you for your time and presence. Ma'am, if you want to speak, please come to the microphone.
I want to address one issue pertaining to his engagement. Do you need me to state my name again?
Please, and your address.
Connie Barnes, 2917 Old Day Road. As far as engagement, I've only spoken to Mr. Leandro one time since he purchased that property, which is next door to my property. So there has not been any other engagement between he and I since then. We have to call code department to get him to mow the lawn because he allowed it to get overgrown, and some of his other properties are also the same way. We're having to contact code because he's not keeping his part as far as keeping the city clean. Now, as far as the property that he's speaking about, that was a home that was burned down, I have spoken to the homeowner. They are in contact with code department, and code is trying to help them clean up their property because the original owners, they're deceased, and the family is trying to get it cleaned up, but they are needing assistance from the city. So we are engaged in that community. We see things going on. We see businesses are being run behind the residential area. I don't believe anybody's reporting that. But, you know, as he wants engagement, we're working for his engagement on the community. But as Mr. Don says, we're not getting a lot of communication as to what's going on in the community until we get a letter. We don't know what the development plans are. And if there's somewhere where I need to go and check it out, I'll be glad to do so. But if you all just tell me where to go.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. We appreciate your speaking today and your involvement in the community. Those are the only cards I have. Are there other persons who'd like to speak? If not, is there a motion on this item, Z22-019?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve Z22-019.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-020. Again, staff.
All right, this one is going, it's going to be a zone change from R1A to R1D. It is located southeast intersection of Walton Road and Chris Street. The applicant is requesting the zone change to subdivide the property to build 2 residential homes. All adjacent properties are zoned R1A, and they consist of a mixture of single-family homes and undeveloped land. The Tyler First Future Land Use Guide identifies the property as single-family, medium to low density. This request would amend the future land use guide to single-family and single-family attached, medium to high density. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop 2 single-family homes on the property. The applicant will have to subdivide the property into 2 lots for developing two homes. This zone change is consistent with the Tyler First goal to add more residences to the North End planning area. Of the 18 notices sent out, none were returned in favor or in opposition of the request, and staff recommends approval.
Thanks. Any question for city staff? If not, I have a card from Gloria Swanson. Ms. Swanson? I think she's coming forward. Ms. Swanson, if you'd just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gloria Swanson. I live at 1608 Ivy Drive, Tyler 75701. I'm here on behalf of my church, Friendship Baptist Church. Now, our address is 2010 Walton Road. Where are we? Can you tell me where we are on that?
Yes, ma'am. So Walton Road, it comes to this intersection, and then it comes up,
That's Frankston
and then
Highway, right?
yes, and
Okay,
then it
so-
continues up right here. So this is the Walton Road that goes back towards the first base of
Because we're on the corner of Chris and Walton Road. Now, we're in the west, what, this quarter.
Could you
I don't know.
That's right there.
show the lady where the church is?
It's just to the west. Yeah, I think it's
Okay, so our church is right here, and that's Chris. Okay, so this must be our church then. And now where's 1940?
It's right across the road. That's the green area.
Oh, so that's across the street. Okay, well then, we were thinking, y'all gonna have to take our church. I mean,
No, ma'am.
1940
Let me just, Ms. Swanson, let me just tell you, we're not going to take your church.
That's why I don't have a placard. I don't want to be accused of taking something from the church.
No.
Since 1957, I've been there since 87 myself. And my deacon been there, he said he been there since he was 10, so that's about 55 years. Like I said, we were under the impression that
Ms. Swanson?
1940 was somewhere close to 2010, and you were gonna have to take out.
Ms. Swanson, we're happy that you came to share with us, and we're not taking your church.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Betty, I also have a card from Betty Mitchell. You're okay? Any other person who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve Z22-020.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? Ma'am, I'm not going to cut anybody off. Did you want to speak? We're right in the middle of a vote, actually. Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? At this time, we're going to take a 10 or 15-minute recess. If everybody could come back at 3:45, that would be great.
Thank you, Chairman. within the city limits, zone M1 light industrial. And the city is working with Breckenridge Village, which owns the properties to the west, to sell the property to them for their future expansion. Let's go to, so here's where you can see the location of the property in relation to the current development to the west. The adjacent properties are, as you can see, the airport, Breckenridge Village, and then also to the north, it's a location of a mobile home park, which is outside the city of city of Tyler limits. You can see that in the blue line is the city limits. Like I mentioned, Breckenridge Village is looking to expand onto this property. Essentially what they're currently doing, which are facilities for assisted living, as well as independent living for individuals with intellectual disabilities. And so with this, there is healthcare, direct support professionals for the residents of the community. They do plan on doing kind of a mixture of the independent living facilities with community residence facilities and kind of all the above. So that's what the narrative would stipulate the allowable uses for the planned development. The reason for essentially the planned development is because they also are looking at doing an amphitheater on the west side of the property. As this is a concept, this is not the final site plan, but it's a conceptual layout. But they do plan to do kind of a pavilion, an amphitheater. That's generally going to be for the residents on site for programming, not for commercial enterprise. But the amphitheater use actually requires a special use permit. So the zoning that would allow kind of all of the above here is the planned mixed use district. So so that's what they're proposing here, or the city's doing essentially on behalf of the future buyer of the property. The standards would be, since it's primarily a multifamily development, the standards would be consistent with the multifamily, setbacks, lot coverage, things like that. With the exception of the height. So the height for RMF is 50 feet. The maximum height is 50 feet. However, since it is close proximity to the runway here, if there's any other restrictions put on from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, any other restrictions, they will have to comply with that, and they have to do that anyways. But that's just kind of spelled out in the narrative. And so they've already talked to the Davis Dixon is our previous airport manager. He's over here in the audience, and they've been working with him on this for a while now, and they've got some clearance determination letters already from FAA, so they've already been working on this on the front end to make sure it's a viable project. So with that, staff, as always, we notified neighbors within 200 feet. We did not receive any feedback in opposition. We did receive feedback in favor from Breckenridge Village, and staff has evaluated the request for the planned mixed use district as well as the special use permit, and staff recommends approval of both. Both applications. The special use permit would be approved for an indefinite period of time, given the location of the proposed activity, that staff does not foresee any issues with the intended use. And so for a definite period of time, staff will recommend approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle, how far is this from the airport?
Well, we're looking, what you see here is one of the runways. Just that long runway stretch there, where it says Council District Number 2.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's just, it's close by. But I believe.
I think that's two lords. Oh, Lord, Lord.
The current facility, as you can see there to the west, you can see the buildings. Yeah, you see the buildings there. They're also very close to the airport, and so, but that's all been reviewed to ensure that, you know, the city of Tyler and the airport doesn't run into any issues with allowing it to be developed.
And special use would be perpetual, just?
It'd be for indefinite.
You say indefinite,
Yeah.
so does it ever come up for review?
If there was a concern or an issue that came up later, then it could be revisited. Like I mentioned, the properties adjacent to it one's the airport or the city, which is pretty loud anyways at certain times. The other one is the actual future owner of the property, and then to the north is developed with as it stands right now, manufactured home park, but that property is currently outside the city limits. Outside of the city limits, you can see the blue line there.
Any other questions for Kyle? All the time I've been here, this is one of the most unique items I've ever seen. Are there persons, I don't have any cards, are there persons here who have an interest in speaking on this item for or against? If not, if there are no questions for city staff, we'll do these one at a time. First is PD 22-001, City of Tyler, 14790 County Road, 1145 Old Pleasant Retreat Road. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve PD 22-001.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this zoning change. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. And next is S22-001, City of Tyler, 14790 County Road, 1145. Any person here would like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve S22-001.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to approve this zoning change. And we're actually recommending a special use permit on this one. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Good luck. That brings us to plats. Kyle, I don't have my notes. Are we doing these plats individually? Some are approved or some opposed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first plat is F22-017, John Broughton, Fourth Amendment.
Yes, this is a 4-lot subdivision, the J&O Broughton Fourth Amendment. The purpose of the plat is to subdivide these 2 lots into 4 lots, which requires a public hearing, which is why it's on the regular agenda. All the comments have been addressed by the applicant, and staff recommends approval of the plat.
Any questions for city staff? Are there persons here who would like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve FP2-017.
And second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next is F22-033, Meyerwood subdivision.
This is a 2-lot subdivision to subdivide 1 lot into 2 lots. This is related to the zoning case that we had earlier. Because they are subdividing a residential lot, it's currently zoned residential, that a public hearing is required. So again, and then, but at this time, not all of the review comments have been addressed by the applicant, and so Procedurally, staff recommends denial of this plat.
Yeah, persons here would like to speak on this plat. If not, someone would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we deny F22-033.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to deny this plat. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Plat's denied. Next is P22-012, Lindsay Crossing.
This is a request for amended preliminary plat for Lindsay Crossing. This is located at the intersection, or the northwest intersection of Spur 364 and Greenbrier Road. The main purpose of the amendment is to adjust the layout, which actually connects the development internally better than the previous preliminary plat. One other consideration with this plat is the proposed removal of a street stub, or a future connection to the property to the north. And staff has reviewed the proposed essentially modification or variance to the future connection, and staff recommends approval of that, the removal of that connection due to the location of, I think I have in this next one here, the location of development on that adjacent property, as well as there are some utility water considerations, so the likelihood of that property being developed in the near future is unlikely. And so staff recommends approval of the amended preliminary plat as shown.
Any questions for city staff? The persons here would like to speak on this item, Mr. Breedlove. Let the record show that Bob Breedlove was 1321 South Broadway is here and available for questions. Any discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve P22-012 as stated. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F22-025, Lindsay Crossing.
This is an amendment to, or first amendment for Unit 4 of Lindsay Crossing, like we mentioned before. So this is to incorporate the, there's currently a right-of-way there, or that future connection for Lindsay Crossing. It's a street. And so the plat incorporates that right-of-way, is not currently built, into the adjacent properties, and would add another lot. So this is consistent with the preliminary plat that was previously approved, and staff recommends approval of this plat.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for city staff? If not, I don't have a card on this item. Anybody want to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve F22-025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F22-026, Hamilton Meadows.
This is a plat to create an 88-lot subdivision. This is just north of Crow Road, or along Crow Road. This plat is consistent with the zoning, which is a planned unit residential district, which shows this exact layout, and so staff recommends approval of this plat.
Any questions for city staff? Any person here would like to speak on this item? If not, someone would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve P22-007.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Plat's approved. I'm sorry?
I need a question.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I got going too fast.
Yeah, I just need to question the case number.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I apologize. I move that we approve F22-026.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a motion?
That was the motion.
It was a motion, but since we're getting the right number, let's get another motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve F22-026 Hampton Meadows, Unit 2, final plat.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next is, I'm constantly in need of help. Next is P22-007 Skyview Edition preliminary plat.
This is a plan for a 70-lot subdivision for Skyview Edition. This is located near the intersection of Roy Road and Rose Corner Road, as you can see here. It's currently zoned R1D, single-family residential, attached and detached. And the applicant, they are proposing the subdivision as shown. All staff comments have been addressed, and staff recommends approval of this plat.
Any person here who'd like to speak on this item? Mr. Breedlove. Let the record show that Bob Breedlove, 1321 South Broadway, is here and available for questions. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve P22-007 yet again.
Is there a second? I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I'm sorry. Next is F22-027 Skyview Edition.
Right. And this is the
final plat.
This is the final plat of the previous layout, and staff, all comments have been addressed. Staff recommends approval of this final plat.
Anybody here would like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve F22-027.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Colin, these, we have 9 consent plats. Are these still all good?
Yes, sir, they are. Staff recommends approval of these 9 plats. I can list them off.
Please do.
These are
better you than me.
Okay. P22-008 Oak Creek Edition, Unit 7, preliminary plat. F22-030 Oak Creek Edition, Unit 7, final plat. F22-028 Oak Creek Edition, Unit 8, final plat. F22-023 Khalifa Court, final plat. I believe the applicant is here to discuss that after I list all these off. And then final P22-005 Sand Hill Estates, preliminary plat. And F21-136 Sand Hill Estates, final plat. P22-006 Dutch Bros subdivision, preliminary plat. And then P22-010 Del Mar Edition prelim, F21-121 Del Mar Edition final plat. And staff recommends approval of all these plats.
Thanks. I do on
F22-023.
thank you. F22-023. Anwar, you're available for questions, or do you have comments?
I just want to get up there and get a picture with you guys.
After. Later. So the staff recommendation is to approve. No. The staff recommendation is to approve this item. I'm assuming you're here in support of that. Do you want me to repeat? You are, okay. All these plats, the staff recommendation is to approve all the listed consent plats Group A. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve consent plats Group A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Plats or those consent items are approved. And the next group is consent plats Group B, and these are all to be denied. Is that right, Kyle?
We will actually remove F21-160 Mahar Estates final plat. That plat can now be approved.
All right, well, let's do P22-004 Elkton Trail, preliminary plat, F22-021 Little Bend Estates, F22-032 Broadway Plaza, 323 Plaza, F22-031 Sunnybrook Edition. The staff recommendation is to deny all those plats. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Anybody here like to speak on any of these items? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny the stated plats.
Consent plats group B.
Is there a second?
Well,
Second.
It wouldn't be all.
Wouldn't be all. Motion's been made and seconded to deny those 4 stated items. Do we get a second? Motion made and seconded?
Yes, second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That leaves F21-160 Mahara Estates final plat, and the staff recommendation is to approve that item. Anybody here to speak on that item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve F21-160.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve that plat. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our workshop is April 15th. Really splendid choice of a day at 1:30 across the street. And unless there's further business, we stand adjourned.
Just to clarify, it's April 15th. Good Friday? Friday, Good Friday. Good Friday.
That's what this says. Is that not right?
April 13th, maybe? So it's the-
It says April 15th, Kyle. What?
I would venture to guess that should say April 19th, which would be a Tuesday,
Yes.
and not Good Friday, so no, we do not plan on having it on Good Friday.
19th.
Okay. Instead of what the agenda says, it's April 19th, and that's a Tuesday at 1:30.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kyle. Now we'll stand adjourned, and thanks everybody for a really hard-working day and no cookies.